Call this meeting to order, Susquehanna Township Board of Commissioners. I would note that all commissioners are present and that we did meet in executive session, discuss matters permitted by law, including litigation, personnel, and real estate. That being said, we will begin with a Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Johnson, followed by a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. Looks like we have one member of the public with us tonight. Does anybody have anything they'd like to comment on before we move on in our agenda? Hearing none. Move on to the approval of minutes for our January 14th meeting.
Move. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And our January 28th workshops.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Premature, Mr. Schubert. Reports of committees, buildings and grounds. Mr. Schubert.
Yes, Mr. President, I'm happy to report that we finally have completion on the fishing boat land that we purchased. It's fully executed, stamped, it's completely done. And one on the next project, we're having a meeting next week, a committee to move forward on the next steps regarding the expansion of the public safety building.
Very good.
That concludes my report.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner. Budget, Commissioner Sanderson.
We did have a budget committee meeting, and we are considering something very important that we did discuss at the workshop meeting, the creation and investigation into the creation of Alerta. And we'll have more information coming up on that at our next workshop meeting. Solicitor Foreman has the expertise in these issues, and we had a very productive conversation about the flexibility of Alerta, how it could be applied to the entire township, and the advantages of one. So please keep in mind we'll be discussing this further, and I hope to take action on it in the near future. Of course, there's no timetable or deadline involved, but the opportunity, I think, is ripe. To mix my metaphors, it's a good time to strike while the iron is hot. And if we do it right, we can benefit all the residents and property owners of the township. And it won't cost the township anything. So, good news coming. That's it.
Just for the benefit of others, and mainly myself, what does LERTA stand for?
Sure. Local Economic Revitalization Tax Act. It's a state law that enables municipalities, townships, boroughs, cities to develop either small neighborhoods, a block, or a larger area, or even up to the entire municipality in some sort of tax abatement project, so that improvements on current developed properties would receive graduated taxes rather than immediate taxation upon the completion of the improvement. Do I have that correct, Mr.?
Right. The taxes that are paid on what's there now, the land and whatever improvements are there, continue just as they are. But the thing that can be for a period of time up to 10 years and for a specified percentage up to 100%, any improvements, new buildings put in or rehabilitation, remodeling of old buildings, don't result in taxes for the period of time and the percentage that you would exempt them.
So it wouldn't cost the township tax dollars because the current taxes would continue to be paid, but it would be an incentive for property owners to improve their properties without paying the full burden of the tax immediately. It would be phased in over a period of time.
And we're going to have a full discussion on this at the
Full
upcoming
discussion
workshop session.
in
that'll be
future
good.
committees, and full discussion in future public meetings.
Well, in advance of that, would it make sense to reach out to the school district since they have the lion's share of the tax?
Actually, the school district and the county, that's part of the plan.
Good. Very good. Thank you. Highways, Commissioner Napper.
Sure. Yes, Mr. President. On behalf of my fellow township commissioners Manager Kratzer, I would like to express our deepest gratitude for what can only be described as superhuman efforts across the 100 miles of township roadway by all employees during this epic blizzard over January 23rd weekend. This monumental snowstorm, better known as the Jonas Winter Storm, brought out the best in all of our employees in the highway, police, and fire department, as well as those in the emergency management section. Residents of Susquehanna Township, our employees stepped up to the challenge of a lifetime and did what was needed to be done, and for that, we should be truly grateful. I feel it is appropriate to offer special recognition and thanks to our colleagues for this daunting challenge they faced this weekend, this January weekend, performing amazing during one of the toughest storms central Pennsylvania has ever seen. I want to end by saying that the commissioners, Manager Kratzer, and I are proud of the dedication and heroic efforts of our entire team during this weekend, and we appreciate all you did in a truly intense situation. In many ways, it was our finest hour. Everyone on Team Township should be holding their heads high. This ends my report, Mr. President.
Very well put.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Health and Sanitation, Commissioner Rabarczyk.
No report, thank you.
Administration Personnel, Commissioner Napper.
Yes, Commissioners, the Admin Personnel Committee will meet January 20th to discuss ongoing personnel action items.
I'm sorry, what'd you say? You met on January 20th?
We met on January 20th to discuss ongoing personnel items.
Okay.
Mr. Myers has been assigned to complete the action item assignments with HR resolution. The Admin Personnel Committee will meet Tuesday, February 23rd, with HR resolutions to review a number of related policies for our collective review and comments. At this meeting, we will schedule our quarterly meetings for May, August, and November to ensure continued progress. This ends my report, Mr. President.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner.
Yes, sir.
Police, Commissioner Engel.
No report.
Fire and EMS, Commissioner Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of our Public Safety Department, I'm offering the following winter weather safety tips. Just a reminder, alternative heating devices can be dangerous. Never use a range or an oven as a supplemental heating device. Not only is it a safety hazard, it can be a source of potentially toxic fumes. Often fumes related to either gas or carbon monoxide, which in the case of carbon monoxide can be colorless, odorless. It's called the silent killer for a reason. So extraordinarily dangerous to use alternative heating sources. If you are using an electric heater, please be sure not to overload the circuit. Use only extension cords which have the necessary rating to carry the amp load for the device you're plugging in. A quick tip for that is using an extension cord that's about the same size or larger than the cord on your appliance. Avoid using electrical space heaters in bathrooms or other areas where water may be present. And if you are using windows as emergency exits in your home, practice using them before an emergency event occurs. Be sure that the windows open easily, and we do recommend that you purchase home escape ladders because they can make escape from your home through a window much safer. If there's a fire hydrant near your home, please help the fire department by keeping the hydrant clear of snow, so in case it is needed, the fire department can access it. And regarding vehicles, never let your gas tank fall below half a tank. In case you get stranded or stuck in traffic, try to leave a phone charger, spare blanket, and food and water in your passenger compartment in your vehicle. And we advise you to back into parking spaces because if your battery dies, it's much easier to service your vehicle. Finally, check on your neighbors. If you don't have a neighbor's phone number, knock on their door after you shovel the driveway or sidewalk. Following harsh weather, it's important to be neighborly and take care of one another. If you have questions, you can call the Edgemont Progress or Rescue Fire Companies or the Fire Marshal's office. And speaking of those fire companies, I want to thank our volunteer personnel and fire marshal for answering more than 1,600 calls in 2015. On behalf of the Board of Commissioners, we appreciate your work and sacrifice, which is invaluable. So thank you so much. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner. Recreation, Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Recreation Department is accepting applications for summer employment. Please go to the website for more information and to download an application. We also have discount ski tickets and movie theater tickets are also available on the website. And as a reminder, the Central PA Blood Bank will hold their monthly drive at the Township Building Friday, February 26th from 3 to 7 p.m. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner. Planning and Zoning, Commissioner Schubert.
No report.
Okay, bids and agreements, see none. Ordinances and resolutions. Resolution 16R04, and this is a resolution adopting the 2015 Dauphin County Hazard Mitigation Plan. Mr. Kratzer?
Sure. As you said, Mr. President, the resolution that is before you adopts the Dauphin County 2015 Hazard Mitigation Plan as the official hazard mitigation plan of Susquehanna Township. Again, this resolution is a requirement required by both Pennsylvania and federal law. The resolution is a form resolution, but has been reviewed by your emergency management coordinator, Brad Reese, and the recommendation is for adoption of the resolution. Adoption of the resolution is necessary for not only addressing the hazards and mitigating those hazards during an event, but is also a requirement for purposes of receiving post-disaster hazard mitigation grant program funds. So again, this is something that EMA Coordinator Reese is recommending approval by the Board of Commissioners.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 2 is Apple Creek Phase 2, street dedication.
Township has received a request from the developer, which is Triple Crown in this situation. The request has been reviewed by HRG. The HRG's recommendation is to proceed with acceptance of dedication of the streets and the right-of-ways, and is recommending a maintenance guarantee be obtained from the developer in the amount of $51,873.23 to be in effect for a period of 18 months. This amount represents 15% of the dedicated improvements. Again, we are not in a position at this point to accept dedication, but we are seeking authorization to have the solicitor draft and advertise an ordinance for street dedication of Jonah Gold Drive and Ambrosia Circle, which is in Ward 9, for consideration at a future meeting.
And I notice, well, I guess we need a motion first before we begin discussion.
So moved.
Second.
Second, I notice in the, some of the correspondence that not all the sidewalks have been completed. Is that right?
That's correct, Mr. President, and the maintenance guarantee, part of the maintenance guarantee does include a retention of the amount necessary to complete the construction of the sidewalk. So that will be done.
Okay, will that be tied to dedication as well, or is it just financial?
Now, we can accept the streets without the construction of the sidewalk. Normally, the sidewalk is the last thing that's installed after the home is built. But we can accept the streets, but we will still, again, be retaining the amount necessary to complete the sidewalks on those lots as they are developed.
I imagine, given the weather, they can't pour the sidewalks right now, so
Right.
we'll just.
But we can plow those
little
streets. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Unfinished business.
No report on unfinished business. You have a copy of the report in your agenda just for informational purposes.
Okay. Going to reports. Mr. Kratzer?
There are no traffic studies to report, so I have nothing to report at this point. I'll reserve my time for a future meeting.
Duly noted. Chief, did you have anything?
I don't, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Foreman?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report.
All right, thank you. School board?
Mr. President, if I may, I have a few.
Oh, I skipped the engineer.
Couple.
Oh.
Just a few update on some projects that we have ongoing in the township. The one being the drainage improvement project at Roberts Valley Road. If the board recalls, last month there was a contract awarded to Construction Master Services LLC to install drainage improvements in Roberts Valley Road. That amount was $359,491. The contract documents have been received, signed with all the appropriate bonds from the contractor. Mr. Foreman is in the process of reviewing that information right now, and as soon as that review is complete, the contract documents can be signed, and we will be issuing a notice to proceed to the contractor. The schedule is the contractor, weather permitting, would be starting sometime around March 1st, and the estimated completion date is mid-June. So that's one project. Second project, the much larger scale, is the Uptown Drainage Area project. That project, as we reported last month, again, is on schedule. We have received comments from the Sewer Authority related to the joint effort between the authority and the township as far as the replacement of some sanitary sewers. There will be some increase in the sewer main diameters in the area that was requested by the authority engineer, which we will be incorporating into our plans. We have just received word as of last Friday that we will not be required to apply for a Part 2 permit from DEP for the increase of those sewer lines. So that's a savings of time and significant investment. The advertisement for bidding for the project will occur in mid-March with an estimated beginning of work early April, and it's about an eight-month construction period. So that's the update for the Uptown area.
Do you have questions, Bruce?
Did we get the diverse disparity study back?
Pardon me?
Did we get the disparity study or?
Can you speak into the mic, Mr. Foreman?
I was going to ask the same question too, but I heard you. The answer is no.
Okay.
For the record.
Well, for the record, I want to ask the question. He was asking, did we get the disparity study back? I know that we didn't, but does that mean that we can't include any MBE or WBE in there?
We certainly can. It's been the practice of the township in the past for many years, when we have advertised for construction bids, is to put a statement in the advertisement related to the encouragement of MBE, DBE contractors or subcontractors as part of the project.
I think we want to go from encouragement to requirement, is what the board was trying to get to.
Correct, and we're happy to do that so long as we have the framework of what the requirements would be.
Okay.
Just a quick update on that issue. The consultants continue to work on that. Part of the challenge is the scale of and number of contracts, quite frankly, that an organization of this size typically issues. So what is happening is, while the initial evaluation period was a short evaluation period, which is reflective of the more typical evaluation period, because of the relatively few number of contracts that the municipality has entered into over the years, it makes it very challenging for them to make definitive determinations as to the existence or lack thereof of a disparity issue. So again, I know the consultant continues to work. The consultant was in the office to pick up additional documents the other day. That is another task that Mr. Myers continues to work on and trying to push that forward. But again, the challenge here is just the sheer number of contracts that they're dealing with in order to make definitive determinations.
Right, and even with those challenges, those are some of the reasons why we don't have the study, and I get that. I did speak with the Powells as well. Does that mean that we can't, as a township, as a board of commissioners, require or even mandate MBE, WBE participation?
I think the understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is and I'm right there with you, Commissioner Johnson. I think it's an issue of the utmost importance, but I think what the study will do is provide cover, for lack of a better term. I think if we go ahead and do there's nothing saying we can't, I guess, but we may open ourselves up to litigation if there's no basis of information.
Right.
Correct?
No, because we
It's not
could, go
covered.
ahead.
It's, if we mandate a participation requirement, we have to do it based upon not a guess, or not
Right.
not just a number we pull out of air, but we have to have a basis, a rational basis for doing that. And we have a very heavy burden to figure out what that basis is going to be, because it's going to require favoring or discriminating based on, in this case, gender or race. So in order to do that, we have to base it on some historic basis.
So-
But that was, I mean, that's why we.
Historic.
Yeah. And that's why we started down this path. Sure. And so,
And one of the other related challenges, again, as we continue to expand the time frame here, we have a tendency to get what I would say is either scant records from the contractor's perspective, and their ability to answer the responses that are necessary for the PALs to formulate the basis for the requirement becomes more and more of a challenge. I definitely don't. The PALs are in a very difficult situation, quite frankly, to deliver something that is going to be.
Especially when we use the word history. Yeah, if we're saying, basing
it
it
has to
on
be a basis. I
history.
mean, the basis includes the vendor or contractor community, and that they're whatever we ask for, that it's available, and what our contracting needs are, and then what our contracting history is. So.
Okay. Have the PALs come in with any kind of timeline when they might deliver their report?
I have not been made aware of a specific time frame at this point. Again, there's been a general articulation of some of the challenges, and that's the extent of it.
And what's
I know
the
they
shelf
can-
life of their
they-
determination? How long would that last? Because we've already missed a couple of contracts.
There was a, I don't have it in front of me, but there was a due date, a deliverable date in the contract they signed with us.
Right.
And that was many, many months ago.
But what's the shelf life? Once we get the
Once we
report,
get
it's
it,
valid data, how long does that last?
I think she said about 10 years, or is it based on information within the last 10 years?
I know that you can use that report for a number of years. I don't know if 10's the right number, but certainly for several years. But obviously, until we have that, the longer it takes, the more contracts we're going to miss.
Right.
Okay.
We don't want to hold up this project.
No,
but-
certainly not.
And, you know, each of us could name other projects that are going to be coming up, and other projects this year that will be coming up. But this one was undoubtedly going to be the biggest one.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
But, yeah, thank you, guys.
Anything else, Mr. Grubick?
That concludes my report, Mr.
That was the longest report of the year by
I'm telling you.
I'm
Even longer than
glad, I'm
Justin's.
glad to make the extensive report.
No, nobody as
Making
long as
progress.
Justin.
Wow.
Number love. nothing but
Commissioner.
love.
Just a lot of love. You did school board, right?
No.
Yes, he did.
We'll say.
Stand back, Mr. Grubick.
You didn't do school board?
No, not yet.
Here we go.
Yeah, we did.
Mr. Fire Marshal, do you have anything? Thank you, sir. We don't hit every one of these. We just hit the important ones.
Just hit the highlights.
Not that you're not important, George. But by the way, all the reports are posted out on the board for public inspection.
Mr. President, my school board report is as follows. During a recent school board meeting, the principals of the various buildings in the district spoke about the school district's efforts to implement positive behavior intervention and supports for students. PBIS focuses on rewarding positive behaviors in schools and, more importantly, stresses consistency without demonizing the student. For example, at Holtzman Elementary School, where my son's a third grader, they use the acronym SOAR, S-O-A-R, to monitor behavior, which stands for safety, ownership, active cooperation, and respect. Students are aware of the expectations in each of these areas, and points are awarded or taken away daily based upon the child's
each child's actions. This is the first year that the district has implemented PBIS, and the principals are seeing behavioral improvement among the students. Holtzman Elementary School Principal Mike Sylvanas appreciates that PBIS provides a myriad of data which allows faculty to work with students individually and collectively to improve behaviors in certain areas, say the cafeteria or on the bus, and to make building-wide policy decisions in terms of behavior. So it's working very well, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Circle. Authority, Mr. Sanderson, do you have anything?
Yes, very briefly, thank you. The authority issued another bond, as it has been wont to do in the past few years, in the amount of $10 million. There is an overall project list required by the federal and state governments of $50 million. So we're not doing it all at the same time, of course, in chunks. Everyone is familiar with the project. Generally speaking, it is to replace leaking pipes so that fresh water, groundwater that is leaking into the sewer system is not treated, which is expensive, of course. So the latest bond issue was very successful, and actually it was a loan, and it was a cooperative effort between the authority and the township. It was because, as we have done in past years, the township has guaranteed the loan. In this case, it is the same service area as the authority, and the township is going to realize, I think, more than $200,000 in shared savings. So the cooperative effort between the authority and the township is lowering the cost of borrowing and reaping a financial benefit for both the authority and the township. That's my report.
Thank you, Commissioner. Indian Wheels, Commissioner Barczyk.
Just that the Indian Wheels organization is still seeking volunteers. So if you're interested in that, you can contact the township office, and they can point you in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Shade Tree, Commissioner.
In the same vein, the Shade Tree Commission is still seeking a member. So if you are interested in serving on that commission in a volunteer capacity, you can contact the township office.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Communications, Commissioner Pine.
Yes, Mr. President, the Township Commissioner's email address realignment is in progress. By that I mean that eventually and soon all commissioners will have a susquehannatwp.com email address. And the manager will be working with several of us to ensure that we can handle this technological challenge, especially those who are a little more technologically challenged like myself. But I would expect that transition probably to take place over the next month. Fair?
Yeah.
I'll tweet
Maybe
you
I'm
on
not
that.
the most.
Yeah,
I'm not the most
I'll
technologically
note it's been
savvy.
done for a month, and the transition amongst the commissioners will be done by the end of the month, right? Is that?
Well made.
Very tweetly said.
Okay, thank you.
One, okay.
I don't like these surprise reports either. For executive session.
All right, Human Relations, Commissioner Barczyk.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. The Human Relations Commission held their reorganization meeting in January, and they reelected Steve Dorco. Mr. Steve Dorco is the chair, Ms. Daphne Champagne is the vice chair, and Ms. Sharon Reinhardt as the secretary. So we'd like to thank them for their continued service. And the chair, Mr. Dorco, asked me to pass along some information which you may all be familiar with already. As we know, our Human Relations Commission serves as sort of an insurance policy. Fortunately, we have not had to use the commission in the capacity it was intended. But there is also legislation which was introduced, it was a bipartisan bill to protect LGBT people. It's called the Pennsylvania Fairness Act, and it was introduced last year. It would update the state's 1955 Human Relations Act to prohibit discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity and expression. Senator Pat Brown, who is the lead Republican sponsor of the bill, said the legislation is needed to strengthen the state's economy so that employers can attract and retain top talent. And additionally, polls show that 78% of Pennsylvania voters support statewide non-discrimination protections for gay and transgender people, and the majority of people believe these protections already exist. So Mr. Durko wanted me to pass that information along, and if that legislation does move through successfully with the legislature, we won't have a need for our Human Relations Commission. But we're glad that we do have them in place should there be a need.
That's more successful than the budget.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. President. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you.
You open that door.
New business. Mr. Fleming, do you have anything tonight?
Yes, I do, Mr. President. I would like to move for the reappointment of Brad Reist as Emergency Management Coordinator.
I second that.
He's not done.
Oh, we're sorry, we're sorry.
only getting started.
Oh, we're sorry, we thought you were finished, I'm sorry.
I was just warming up. Pardon me.
How you doing?
Good one down there.
Now, discussion is now, right? Move in second.
Yeah,
Now we
motion
have some
second.
discussion.
All in favor?
No, I just quickly wanted to say I echo Commissioner Napper's comments that he made about the Highway Department. I mean, Brad handled himself in a tremendous and professional manner with the winter storm and the events. Unfortunately, we had a couple days ago, and another one may be coming. So his communication has been exceptional. Coordination's been great. So it's my pleasure. It really is.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded and thirded, I think.
Thirded.
Any other comments before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Reist. Any other new business? Any commissioner comments?
I have a couple comments. I'll make them really brief. First thing, let me say, Susquehanna Township High School will be hosting its second Regional Youth Town Hall on Violence on February 22nd at 6:30 p.m. at the high school. And this is a youth forum on violence. The first one was held in Harrisburg, and it was a success. Our very own Public Safety Director, Chief Martin, along with the Superintendent Todd Klein, will be providing the opening remarks, and we invite the entire community, for those who have kids in the district and those who do not. And this is a forum that will host Harrisburg students, Stilton, and I believe some Central Dauphin East students were also invited to be on the panel. So I'm inviting all the commissioners out to come to that as well.
February 22nd?
Yes, February 22nd at 6:30 p.m. at the high school auditorium. So that concludes that comment. I have another one. I just want to read a comment. Commissioners, February is Black History Month, a time when we celebrate the historical accomplishments and contributions of African Americans to the greatness of our land. The experiences serve to expand our knowledge and perspective on the many contributions of African Americans in all aspects of our shared history. We are all touched by each other's experiences and must continue to build upon our country's uniqueness in being so culturally diverse, which leads us to the Pennsylvania Capitol, where K. Leroy Irvis of Allegheny County became the first and only African American Speaker of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives in 1977. Mr. Irvis was also the first African American to serve as the Speaker of the House in any state legislature in the nation. Recognizing Black history is celebrating American history and expanding on the many contributions that support our free society. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson.
Great report.
You're welcome. And of course, I got to give credit to Commissioner Napper, who actually, I guess, wrote the report and handed it to me to say. So I want to thank him for it. Thank
He
you.
can help draft, but as long as you present it, the report is yours.
And you spoke it eloquently. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, even though I messed up Irvis,
Irvis, I-R-V-I-S.
I know, Irvis.
Great man.
His son lives in this area as well.
Reggie
That's what I was
Williams.
just told, yeah.
Yeah.
Very distinguished. He was extremely distinguished.
One of only two speakers who has a building named after
Pittsburgh and
him.
Allegheny County.
I knew
Wow,
that.
no kidding. Well, thank you, Steve.
Yes, ma'am.
He truly was a pioneer in Pennsylvania, and I was a house page way back when. it was just like talking to anybody else. You know, I was in my mid-late teens, but kind of took you under his wing, and just a real gentleman. And, you know, he's one of those guys that kind of walked softly but carried a big stick. And he's well-respected, both sides of the aisle. And it was in the day and age when things really got done. It was because of people like Kate Leroy Irvisi that was able to, Harrisburg was able to function at that point, unlike it sometimes doesn't now. But anyway, thank you for your report.
You're welcome.
Mr. President?
Yes.
If I may, I have something. I just wanted to highlight some of the accomplishments of several of our student athletes at the high school. They signed letters of intent recently. Chris Ciotti signed with LaSalle for baseball.
Hey.
Maya Gaines with Indiana Tech for track. Ben Moser, East Stroudsburg for football. Alicia Evans, Hampton University for track. Ben Walker, Shippensburg, football, I believe. Jaquil Bascom, Lockhaven, and I believe that's football as well. It's not listed. And the Wildcats in the room, I know there's several of you will like this one. Aaron Siegel, Villanova for football. And I believe he's going to be studying engineering as well. And those of you know his dad, Kelvin Siegel, the chief over at Edgemont Fire Company. So I just wanted to acknowledge them because you hear about their great accomplishments on the field throughout this school year, but they're going on to bigger and better things in their studies. So we congratulate them all and tell them to keep up the great work.
Wow.
Wildcats.
LaSalle.
LaSalle,
That's right.
Explorers.
That's right.
Sally. No. Yes. I thought you said something about sports. I'm
Explorer.
explorer, yes. Yeah. So is Tracy.
We have a Hawk, an Explorer, and a couple Wildcats here.
Three
It's
of
a big five.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Moving right along.
Three Wildcats.
Wow. Did I hear somebody say moving right along?
Yeah.
Not Justin.
if there are no other comments, let's pay some bills. Anybody care
Mr.
to do so?
President, I move to accept the report of bills paid in the amount of $935,611.73.
Second?
Moving to second, any comment, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion is
Motion to adjourn?
Mona beat you.
Second.
okay. Second.
Mr. Schubert. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, we are out of here.